Right. I'll be letting people in if they show up, but I just want to welcome you all in. Good evening and thank you for joining us on a glorious Wednesday evening. I've had to shut all my window because I'm just being blinded by the sun at the moment. If you're watching us on YouTube, welcome to you as well. And I just wanted to introduce the absolutely fabulous Reverend April Kling-Meyer. So she'll be sharing her insights and expertise on the topic of exploring self-publishing for spirituality. But also, I'm hoping towards the end, we'll be talking a little bit about our book project. So I don't want to give April too much of a introduction because I'm hoping she'll be able to do a much better job than I can. So over to you, April.
Hi, everybody. Yes, as Seth said, I'm Reverend April Kling-Meyer, and I have been in ministry without really calling it that for, I would say, probably about 5 years. Just recently ordained, the most recent ordination class with One Spirit in 2022. Sass is a classmate and one of my study group members, as well as a very, very dear friend. So thank you, Sass, for inviting me to come talk here. One thing that I want to make very clear before we begin is that I am not an expert on self-publishing. I am somebody who was asked to speak to this group simply because I have so recently and thoroughly been through the process of self-publishing as a spiritual creator, as I like to put it. Many of you are familiar with the brand that I started several years ago called Creativity is Spirituality. My general idea for that ministry is operating it as a business and really trying to make it more when it comes to what it is as a business as opposed to a ministry, is make it a media production company. And that has involved trying a lot of different things. Originally, it was just social media content, but that is a very crowded space. And then producing video content, which is also a crowded space, but gets a lot of attention. But really, to me, and from all I'm hearing from larger organizations such as Hay House, is that publishing a book is a really uncrowded space. And the way that Hay House, I went through their self-publishing training, and the way they explain it is that it's a business card that really kind of does a lot of work for you, more than a business card would. It really kind of tells everybody up front what you're all about and gets them excited about your work before you even meet them. So rather than going through the rather expensive process of being part of the Hay House pool of authors, I just decided to go ahead and jump forward into self-publishing to see what it was like. And I was really, really honored to have been taken under the wing of someone by the name of Tim Lewis, who's with Stoneham. I believe it's Stoneham Press. He, and also Orna Ross to a lesser extent. She's actually, by sheer weird loopy universe coincidence, Orna Ross coined the term creativism, which is the belief system that I subscribe to. And she's also an outspoken proponent for self-publishing. And she is a poet, among many other things, and somebody that I'm a huge fan of, and to a much lesser extent, I'm sure she's a slight fan of me too. She thinks I'm okay. She told me that I could call myself a creativist minister, and for that, I'm very, very grateful. She was actually really excited about that. So between Orna and Tim, I was directed into a lot of different places where I could go that addressed some of my concerns about self-publishing. I have seen self-publishing happen among a lot of my colleagues through the years in ways that seemed like they were really more painful than productive or helpful. For instance, I have a very close family member who went through kind of hybrid publishing, which is the idea that you spend a lot of money up front to have your book published. And it is really ideal for a lot of people that kind of already have quite a bit of a following. And in that relative's case, that was certainly the case for her. And it seemed to serve her rather well, and got her on bestsellers lists and everything like that, because these hybrid publishers tend to have really great marketing teams. So you're really kind of hiring somebody to do the design and marketing of your work, but you're hiring them with the upfront cost of those things. And I've also seen self-publishing work where you have to buy minimums of your book, and then you're stuck with huge quantities of a book that you wrote, so you don't have any use for these books lying around your house. And those are two things that I was afraid that I was going to have to encounter with this. And I addressed these concerns with my friend Tim, and he was like, that's a thing of it. Both of those things are kind of still something you can do, but they're kind of a thing of the past. You no longer really have to buy minimums of a book or go with a hybrid publisher to self-publish. You really can just publish a book, and you can make it as an ebook, as a printed book, or both, and then make that. And then we were directed to two different ones. He told me to kind of try two different ones. One was Ingram and the other one was Lulu. And we ended up going with Lulu. And the reason for that is that, in my opinion, it had a better user interface and was a little bit more user friendly to go into it and see what it was it needed from me. And it had an integration with a design program called Canva, which is something that I'm sure a lot of you have messed with if you're really into social media. I know Sass is a Canva user, and Canva makes graphic design really simple. But when it comes to a gigantic book layout, it excited me to know that Canva was going to be something that could integrate. Now, unfortunately, it was a beta program having Canva's integration with Lula at that time. I think as of now, that's no longer a beta. It really is integrated quite seamlessly with Canva. And the reason I believe that to be so is because the page numbers in Canva used to be limited, I think, to maybe 50. And now that's expanded considerably as of my last book project we discovered. So a lot of those little hiccups may still be working out, but we were using Lulu and we were really happy with it. And just to give you an idea of the kind of work that I do and to see what it is that I did self-publish and what they're capable of, is that I don't do like narrative books yet. I might write a book at some point that's a little bit more narrative format, but this is a workbook with fill in the blank pages. So we have this ability to fill in the blanks on this. And I actually pitched this during the early days of the pandemic. I was really just looking for a way to get my ideas out there and start making money from them. And I pitched them to a number of different publishers, and they were just like, we're just not doing fill in the blank books. Like, it's just not something that we see being profitable. And I thought, well, I don't really need it to be profitable. I just need it to make me a little money because I think it's a good idea. I essentially designed something that I thought I would like to have. And really, that's the best way to innovate anything is designing it for yourself and just trusting that if there's something out there, that's something that's not out there that you want to be out there. And that includes your spiritual message, that includes your ministry. These things came about in our lives in one spirit through the needs that we encountered in our life stories. So our ministry arises from what we want to see more of in the world. And I think the book is no different. And with that, I'm going to introduce you to somebody incredibly special to me in my life. He is, you might see him somewhere on the guest list here. He hears me talk about him. There he is in the wild and woolly forests of Turanarihine, where we live. My husband, Alex, is here. Now, Alex is a good pet to have. That's a terrible thing to say, but when it comes to doing, yeah, I mean, he knows I'm joking. When it comes to doing any kind of design work or any kind of marketing for sole entrepreneurship, which is what a lot of our ministries end up being, is a sole entrepreneur kind of business. It's important to have a friend, an ally, or a partner, in any sense of the word partner, like Alex, to be able to assist with things like book layout. Like, I was able to completely design my own book, but when it came time to getting it into the format from Canva into Lulu, I needed some help. And I also didn't have a website. So I turned to my trusty partner, literally my husband. And I said, is this something that you can help me with? So he is a web designer, web developer for, you know, the big tech companies like IBM, and he just happens to live in my house. But when it comes to things like this, like, I've done textbook layout in the past. That's when I was a graphic designer in the past, for a living. And even Lulu kind of, it met my limitations with this sort of stuff. And I said, Alex, I either need you to do this for me or show me how it's done. So he opted to just kind of do that for me. And he came to this meeting today to kind of answer any questions you had on a technical level that I wouldn't be able to answer. So let me just kind of turn it over to Alex and let him talk about a little bit about his own process with this entire self-publishing thing, because he's taken it even further and developed integrations with e-commerce with the website so that we're able to sell the books on my website. So go ahead, Alex, and talk about that process a little bit for my friends here.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Hi. I coming into this is kind of like going back to sort of doing website design development, and I had my own agency for about 10 years ago, and kind of going back and helping April with this has been kind of like a refresher going into it and everything. So yeah, I mean, and Lulu is great because it's like on-demand printing, and it will, you know, it's not you having to have a bunch of stock, right, of books and so forth. It will print and then ship it out to whoever has ordered it. And originally we built out the website and then had links going out to Lulu, because you can publish the books onto Lulu's website, order directly from your Lulu. Problem is that any kind of marketing or social media marketing that you might be doing, they don't like having your website and then to buy your products, but it's not really bought on your products. It's getting redirected to Lulu or some other third party. They don't really like that. So what we had to do was say, okay, let's use, e-commerce solution within April's website to make that happen.
Specifically, Facebook ads rejected advertising the book because when they went to our website, it directed them to a secondary website. So Facebook ads won't like that, and that integration becomes necessary at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So with Lulu, we use the kind of only shopping cart solution that they kind of seamlessly integrate with, which is WooCommerce. And then that way we can have April's website, which is all done in WordPress, have WooCommerce integrate with that, and then WooCommerce be able to talk to Lulu. And in that way, we're able to kind of make all those things kind of talk to each other. As far as the customer is concerned, all they see is your website, and being able to go to your website, see the books there, do all the processing, the ordering off of your website. But in the background, behind the scenes, credit cards are being processed and that sort of thing, and Lulu is receiving the order.
And it's also really a lot faster than it sounds like it would be. Printing on demand has become a lot faster than it once was. When over the holidays, when the book became really popular for giving as gifts, for instance, I had somebody request to buy several dozen copies of the book to give as gifts to everybody in their client base. It was a marketing agency back in the States. And I was a little concerned that because it was print on demand, it would take maybe a couple weeks or something to get to them. But I ordered them on a Tuesday and they had them by that Friday. So it's gotten a lot better. I will say that Lulu is kind of hit or miss in Europe with getting things quickly to people. I will also add, though, that I think that the postal strikes in England have been the stressor with that, because we were having rapid turnarounds before the postal strikes began. And that Lulu's customer service was really, really great about getting us replacement copies and things like that when we would go and tell them we'd never got our copy or whatever. But I didn't want this to be too much of a Lulu commercial, because there are other options out there. I do want this to be a sincere encouragement and an offer of support. Myself or Alex, who could probably be more supportive to you, in if this is something of interest to you, just kind of opening it up for encouragement or just downright helping you do this, if this is something you feel strongly about and if you feel that it would help you with your ministry and get your word out there. And to be honest, I haven't seen gigantic returns in terms of like money. Like, I'm not making enough to pay my mortgage, for an example. That would be lovely. It's only been a few months. I self-published these books 3 months ago. Wait, no, more than that. Like more like 5 months ago now. Wow, time flies. It's only been 5 months. One of the things, I think Ingram does this as well, is that it pushes the books out into the major retailers all over the world. My books are going to be available, or are currently available in Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Blackwell, I believe, and Book Depository, but it pushes the listing out to all of those retailers. So you're able to kind of aggregate that, and then your brick and mortar retailers also have the option to purchase copies of your book. That hasn't happened to me yet. And that can take a long time. It could take 6 to 8 months before your books start getting enough attention. And that all depends on it looks like it all depends on you, to kind of like get it out there, get it marketed. I wish I had more advice on that, but luckily for us, we have SAS here that could help with that sort of thing, like getting your brand out there, getting your book out there, and those types of professionals could be more helpful with that sort of thing. But I will say, it has been really nice to have just sold a few dozen copies of my books and to have made a few €100 just from hitting the publish button. And it's been, obviously a little more complicated than just hitting the publish button, but it's been nice to see that return on our blood and sweat investment come in pretty quick. And say Alex was charging me for a day of his time to do all this stuff, I would say that I've definitely made enough to pay him and then some. But it all went into our Christmas gift fund to be able to have a nice, comfortable Christmas this year, because we put the books out in November. So, yeah, go ahead.
I
Jake.
just wanted to say one little thing, like, once if you did go, if any of you did go down this sort of road where you have like website with, shopping cart and using Lulu and all of that, once you have like the kind of e-commerce platform, it doesn't just have to be, physical books, it could be ebooks, it could be other things you want to kind of put in there as well. So, because once you have an e-commerce platform, you can put anything there you want. So just to kind of, there's other sort of areas and so forth one can go into once you already have that up and running. So just to consider.
Yeah, like t-shirts, for example. I think that that's probably going to be our next frontier. I have one client, the same client actually, who ordered the dozens of books, is saying that she wants all these t-shirts made now. So there's going to be some t-shirts with creativity, spirituality made for, and we can just throw them on the website. And it has nothing to do with Lulu, but Lulu's just one thing that has created this revenue stream for us, albeit small. But for some of you, this wouldn't be small. This could be very big. And I know, Karen, you would be writing your book in German more than likely. And that would probably offer a tremendous niche opportunity for you to be writing about these things in German specifically. And so that's one example that this could be, even though it only has, made us a few €100, for some of you, it could be the thing that allows you to pay your mortgage and buy a house or buy property. You know what I mean? It just depends on how much you're able to put into it. But the tools are there. And if there's anything that I could do to help or encourage you, I would say that this is a big win for us over on our little creativity and spirituality team, to know that this is possible and know how easy it is. And I think I'll definitely be doing it again.
And I would just want to say, from a production standpoint, I know a lot of times that, it can be quite daunting to try to sort of do that. And I found like helping April do all this and be able to produce it all in Canva, like April was saying, it is just so much easier. In fact, I've started kind of putting together my own books that I want to be able to do, putting it together in Canva, and then being able to kind of push it into Lulu. And you don't have to be, extremely technically proficient in any of that. Both platforms kind of help guide you through and kind of walk you through things. And you can make as many print test orders as you want. I think we did like, 4 or 5 kind of print orders to say, okay, this is almost there, just a little off here, a little off there. All right, fine, and then eventually, it works out. But yeah, I mean, that's the good thing about these sort of kind of tools like Canva, and to produce it, Lulu to publish it, and then something like WooCommerce to be able to facilitate the sale of it.
So yeah, I definitely remember now that Alex was inspired to create his own fill in the blank journals. For his passion is archery. So he's an archery coach here in Ireland, and he came up with a whole journal. Do you have like a copy you can show? Is it like candy? But he came up with his own. I mean, if that just tells you, like, it's like a testament of to how kind of fun this is, fun and easy. See, he just came up with his own little. It's beautiful, and he enjoyed doing this process so much that he just decided to do one for himself. So that's kind of what we're here to do, is really just spread that excitement and enthusiasm to this group, that you all start wanting to put this together for yourselves and start using it as Hay House puts it, the business card that does all the work for you. So that's it for me. I wanted to open up the floor to any questions. Again, I want to stress that I'm not an expert, and Alex is definitely an expert on specific things to the process. So you probably will have more questions for him. But if there's any questions that you have for either one of us, feel free to shoot.
Hand went
Ashley.
straight up there, Ashley.
I'm sorry. Firstly, I'm sorry I joined a little bit late. But I was just wondering, because until you mentioned Lulu, obviously you've been down this road and done all of the research. The only one I was aware of was Amazon Direct kind of publishing. And I know that there already is kind of a lot of the format you can do yourself. And I was interested in, I think they call it low content books, which I think is an absolute scandal. So it's not low content at all, but that kind of workbook. And there's so many on the market. Did you find it helpful to be away from Amazon? Because obviously there's so much on the market there and that kind of notebook. Did you find it more helpful to be able to control everything yourself rather than just throwing yourself on the mercy of Amazon? Probably quite a few questions in there.
Oh, that's a fantastic line of like field of questions. I really haven't touched Amazon at all. Lulu did all of that for us. Like it's kind of automated the way that they do it. So am I selling books through Amazon? I don't know, because those kind of come in batches. It could be that I sold thousands of books on Amazon and I won't know until Amazon actually pays their bills, which they just do whenever they feel like it. And that's the messaging that I've gotten from all of this, that Amazon's really just kind of just pays for the books that they sell whenever they feel like. That's one thing that I'm really sour on Amazon in general. I feel like they're probably the most unethical company that's ever existed on the planet. So the fact that my books are published on there are just kind of like, well, you know, at least I'm getting something out of it, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, like we've had to do so little in terms of our touch points with Amazon, that's kind of why we chose Lulu, or like why I really lean toward Lulu's, that I wouldn't have to go interface with them too much.
No, that's Lulu's. That's my question.
Yeah, Lulu's been doing it a lot longer, so they have kind of much more of a robust process on how all that sort of works and everything too.
Saves you a lot of work, and I think that's the selling point for them. Ingram, I think, does something similar, but I have seen other self-publishing conduits kind of require you to be really heavy on pushing Amazon. I've just seen how other colleagues of mine have had to really push their work. And I will say that the hybrid publishing model that I mentioned at the beginning of the call will definitely require you to not only spend thousands on front loading the marketing aspect of your book, but will also want you to just really push people towards Amazon to get those ratings and to get on Goodreads and all of that stuff. And I'm just, it's not for me, but it is something that could work very well for you. So I don't want to completely turn people off. It's just, I don't know, it has a lot to do with my own background with Amazon and stuff like that too. I used to work for a candy company, and there was just so many problems with marketing products on Amazon in general. And I saw Reverend Deb's hand up, if I'm going in order.
I just really quickly, I'm really sorry, Deb. I just wanted to add my voice kind of into this question.
Okay.
One of my clients, so for anyone who doesn't know, I'm a social media mentor trainer. One of my clients does a lot of work on the Amazon self-publishing, which I didn't realize actually until recently. And I was talking about this talk and we got into a conversation, and she was saying that because you mentioned, Ashley, the low content books, she's saying she started off with low content and didn't really get much traction until she started doing almost like a medium content. So we're not talking like the full-on books, like 400 odd pages or so, but she's doing very, very well in the spiritual realm, more yoga, but just doing kind of like the next stage up from a workbook. It's kind of like, here's some information and here's how you can work through it. Here's a bit more information. So it's kind of like that step up. So that might be something worth thinking about in general. Anyway, apologies. Thank you, Deb.
Oh, no worries, Steph. In fact, I've self-published 2 books in November, and I don't have a copy of the other one to show today, but the other one is exactly the kind of book you described. And yeah, it performs better, come to think of it. So yeah. Yes, Deb, thank you.
Hi, thank you so much, April and Alex and Sass for putting on this evening. Yeah, I kind of just wanted to add my own experience. I published my first book through a publisher in 2018, and that had 2 companion books with it, and then my next one in 2019. And I'm contracted with them, well, contracted vaguely because it's a friend of mine, and I got this amazing deal when they were just setting up their publishing company, and like, you know, wanting to appear that they have lots of authors was a beautiful, nice little way in. So yeah, if anybody is interested in like getting in with a publisher, then look around for startups who, if you're not wanting to go the self-publishing route, then look around for startups, because the deal you can get will be much more affordable, probably in time and certainly in money, and you might be able to get signed for free when they're starting up and wanting to grow. Once it's like as big as something like Hay House, then you know you're going to be competing with a lot of other people. I completely agree with you, Rev April, when you say about like it being like a business card, and without anybody even looking at any of the books that I've produced, the fact that they're out there gets me invited to speak at different events. Who knows, maybe if they looked at my books, they'd change their mind. I don't know. One's a colouring book. I love that. So it does get a foot in the door of places where otherwise you might not get invited. And, you know, since 2018, like the first book that came out, sometimes I'll earn £300 a month in sales. Like that's like 300 take home. Another month it might be £3, £3, and that's very much dependent on where have I been, and have I mentioned it, who have I mentioned it in front of, you know, have I been making an effort on social media, say, to mention it. And I'm really interested to hear, Alex, thank you so much for talking about the tech side, because I don't know about anybody else, but that's the thing that kind of has held me back. And like when I got a really good offer from the publisher for my next book, I was like, oh yeah, okay, because it was that simple fact, like, oh, I don't want to have to think about the tech or do the tech. So that's really great to know, and that would, you know, really help me to step into the self-publishing, which is what I feel is the direction. And just a quick word about Amazon. If anybody is wanting to do that and launch on Amazon, the little secret with Amazon is, and you can end up getting Amazon to do a bunch of advertising for you, if you have a book launch, like say online, ask all of your friends and family and whoever is intending to buy the book, please come to the launch and all go online and all buy it at once as it goes on sale. And then it shoots up the ratings, and then Amazon start promoting it because they think, oh wow, look at this, a lot of people are buying this. And so from what I gather, it's a cheeky way of getting Amazon to do some unpaid work for you. I don't know if it's true. Sass has got her hand up and is probably about to say that doesn't actually work. And sorry, just the other thing is, I would really highly recommend for anybody who is new to writing, if they don't feel that they're ready to plunge and do their own, to get involved with the book collaboration. Highly recommend that. I'll shut up now. Thank you for listening.
Oh, not at all. Actually, I'm going to completely agree with you, Deb. So hands up anyone who was here or saw the replay of Pearl's talk, The Fear of Success. Yeah, so she did exactly that with her series of books. Is she did a book launch. She had quite a network of people who all came along to the book launch, and she specifically, it's a little bit cheeky, but she set the price quite low. So I think even now it's her books are at £1.77. So people all at the same time went through, bought the book for £1.77 on Kindle, and exactly what you said happened in that. Amazon picked it up, started promoting it as this is obviously something to look at, and within a day she'd become a bestseller within that genre. So I completely back everything you said, Deb. Pretty much. Anyway, yes, back over to you, April.
On the note about it being a business card, I want to share a story with you, and Alex is part of this story too, about kind of this book doing the work for you, not just on the digital side, but in real life. I was asked by my neighborhood association to participate in the inaugural Christmas market in our community hall. And I committed to that, wanting to kind of be a part of what the neighborhood was doing, and then realized that I had double booked myself and that I was actually going to be away on retreat that weekend. And my dear, dear husband, I begged and pleaded, and I said, could you please just work my stall for me at the Christmas market and sell my books? Because I had ordered quite a few of them just to kind of have and be able to sell in exactly these sorts of situations. Plus, I'm a crafter, so I had all these blankets and things that I made. And also I'm an artist, so I have all of these greeting cards and things of my art on it. So you can make a whole stall out of this, no problem, and see what you can do. I mean, Alex was there, I wasn't, but he pulled in quite a lot of cash that day, and most of it was the books. People get really excited about being able to meet you in person and buy your book from you personally. And that ended up getting me invited to yet another Christmas market in a different town that I didn't know anybody. And I spent that entire afternoon bored off my rocker. I mean, I was so bored. I was not selling anything. People were buying little greeting cards that I made, and I think I maybe broke even on the day, on 10 for the stall, 10 in sales, truly. But I continue to get people reaching out to me saying, I got your book, or I saw your books at that stall in that town where I don't live. And also from the stall where Alex, you could probably speak a little bit about the reaction people had when I wasn't there. But people seemed from what you were saying, people seemed pretty excited about someone in their neighborhood living, writing books or publishing books and things.
Yeah, no, I think it was definitely something different. I mean, it's it's kind of relative to the other vendors that are there. Right. So when you're doing kind of these in-person sort of stuff, I mean, it's I think it's a lot better if you're the only kind of person there. Right.
Mm.
It would probably be really bad if we were all in one room selling all our books of a similar nature. But if you're the only one there and everyone else is kind of doing all sorts of other different things, you have a much better chance of that. Yeah, exactly. So, which I thought was really good, because it's you kind of get a feel for who are the people that might be kind of attracted to that kind of thing. And then it's okay, you have that availability. But like April was saying, it's even if you don't have a huge kind of return on doing that one day or this one or that one, it's just kind of visibility, right? It's just kind of it's like April's been saying, it's kind of like your business card in a way.
It created a ton of buzz, and we ran out of business cards at both stalls, actual business cards. So, and I had a bunch, and that's pretty exciting. I knew hardly anybody, because we were pretty new to this neighborhood. And now I think a lot of people know who I am before they meet me, which is kind of awesome. And I would love to just it sounds like it's time to kind of move over to the real meat of why we're here. And we kind of have a really cool idea Sass and I have been cooking up. And I'm going to turn it over to Sass now and get you all in on our cool idea.
Sorry, April. Okay, so in the spirit of complete openness within Osmic, I am going to hold my hands up and say we are continuing to work through an issue of how can we bring in some money. It's an ongoing issue. We talked about it back in February. We had an open meeting. But I'm not sure, honestly, apologies, I can't remember who was there and who wasn't. But we had an open meeting and we brought this up as a question, is how can we just bring in money to cover running costs more than anything as a business, because we are a business, we're a CIC, how can we keep it going? Bearing in mind that we have volunteers, we're all volunteers. April has generously donated her time tonight. And there was the question of, should we ask for a membership, which some people were for, some people were against, because we don't want finances to become a barrier to us talking with each other. It just sounds silly. So we're doing everything we can pretty much to not go down the membership route. And we were kind of sitting there, and ahhing about what we were doing. And there was this little, no, I'm not going to say little, there was quite a loud voice that kind of popped up with, y'all should release a book. Use the offensive accent, April. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to release, self-publish a book, hence this entire talk today. We got chatting amongst ourselves, and I will say at this point in time today, we have no title, we don't have a theme. This is something that we absolutely want to collaborate with anyone who wants to be even the slightest bit involved. So which is it going to be something that we all write together? Is it going to be something that just a couple of people write? Is it going to be partially we don't know. We don't know. This is why we have our meeting next week, which if you saw the newsletter, it's just like an ideas kind of planning thing. The idea being that we will invite submissions to be part of this book. Again, we don't know on what topic as yet, with a view to eventually self-publish and to use this as fundraising, essentially. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, April? Apart from telling me off for a really bad accent that I may or may not have been practicing all day.
Well, if I attempted a Portsmouth accent, I think that it would be just as hilarious, but I won't. It is something that I suggested, but I also wanted to add something to this concept because I think it might seem a bit intimidating when we say that we're like seeking submissions, or that it's kind of open to discussion and brainstorming, because I know how we in One Spirit can be very, very passionate in our idea phase of things. And when we disagree, it can be very triggering. So I really want to say that this will be very strongly held and very strongly led as a project, and that there's not going to be a whole lot of back and forth really, but there is going to be a lot of openness to the direction of where it goes. And one thing I want to assure you all of is that we really don't want you to feel like you have to create something new or create something special for this. Of course, it's going to be special, but I mean something unique to just this project. If you have work that you already have in your, on your walls, in your notebooks, and you want it to release it to the world, but you don't have maybe you just have this is the perfect way to do that. Like poetry that you have sitting in a poetry journal that you've been keeping on your bedside. Or and this is really kind of what the core of my idea was, but we've expanded since then, was that we make it about our ceremonies. I just remember seeing everybody at ordination devouring each other's ceremony books that whole time at the retreat, just going through and reading what had been written. And let me tell you, people outside of our world here, which is we believe it to be kind of like the whole world, our world, one spirit, but really there's a lot of people who are extremely curious about what it is we're up to in the world of an interfaith foundation, in the world of Osmic. And I will tell you something, they will find poetry and art a lot of different places, but what they're not going to find is a book full of ceremonies with poetry and art and other things. So if you're thinking that of submitting something to this, I dare say, anthology, and it goes well, it's something we can release on an annual basis and create revenue for this organization, and we can sell it to anybody, but make sure that it's something that is going to seem exciting to other people besides us. Yeah. And I just really think ceremonies is really like the way to do that, because people get so like, ooh, the weird stuff that we do as ministers is what kind of attracts people into what it is we're about.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree. Well, again, we'll see what happens at the meeting next week and see other people's ideas, just to kind of bring in the gorgeousness. But I did see Car's hand up. You have a question there?
Well, it was just an observation, really. Hi, April. Hi, everybody. With regards to a book like this, if it's a contribution from lots and lots of different people within the interfaith foundation, from interfaith ministry, anything on the lines of, like a hot chocolate for the interfaith minister's soul type thing, it could be anecdotes, as you say, it could be poetry, it could be a recipe for sacred oils, it could be anything that would highlight the difference and also weave in the commonalities that we have within everything, so that it could be inspiring to other people to become more interested in interfaith as a ministry. So it's a very exciting concept, and I'm sure we've all got anecdotes and unique ideas, so I think that would be a great thing. Obviously, ceremony, all my things going a bit funny again. I just started again. Don't know what's going on there, but yeah, it would be lovely. It depends on how many people are going to contribute to the book. And also, it might be sort of like a manual, like to help people through not only the training, but life ministry. However that presents itself. And I can guarantee you we've all had very, very different experiences post the ordination. But thanks for listening. Nice to be with you.
Thank you, Car. Thank you.
It sounds like Car, you kind of get the vision that we're after, and that sounds really cool. It sounds like you're picking up what we're putting down.
Did I see your hand again, Ashley?
Yeah, I did, and I just wanted to absolutely chime in with what Carl was talking about there, about some of the personal story. And I must admit, I started cyber stalking Rev Deb long before I actually met you in One Spirit, because I remember stumbling over one of the One Spirit podcasts that was done years ago. And I remember hearing your story, actually, and before that I'd been bookmarking the One Spirit website and didn't quite feel like I was right for the training. And then I heard your story about professional life, and those stories are so powerful, because when I turned up to my intro day, I still wasn't completely sure what a One Spirit interfaith minister was. I saw lots of people wearing white with stoles on, but I wasn't quite sure which background people came from and what drew them to the training. So I think actually some stories are really powerful, and that's what differentiates One Spirit, I think.
I invite every single person here to come along next week. I know that some people can't make it. I won't be recording the session next week by request, and I think it's right where it's a bit of a discussion. But what I will be doing is putting updates in the Osmic newsletter, only short little updates. Anyone who wants more specific updates and to be kept in the loop of what's going on, please do pop your email address in the chat, or if you're watching online, just send an email to our email address, which I have forgotten off the top of my head. It is One Spirit Ministers in Connection @gmail.com. Just say that you're interested in staying up to date. I'm going to put you in a special mailing list that's separate from the newsletters that I send, just to keep you a little bit more updated. So everything in the newsletter is going to be general, and it will probably ask for some submissions there. But in what I'm calling the working group, the book project working group, pretty much I'm going to be keeping you updated with any decision that happens or anything that kind of carries on. Yes, Karen, I've got your email address many times over. Thank you. Are there any questions about, oh, April? Yeah.
I see one in the chat from Reverend Deb, and I wanted to address that really quick because it's something I didn't talk about at the beginning when we were talking about Lulu, but at least for Lulu, and that's probably what we're going to be going with here, it offers several different options for copyright, and we can go over what those options are, but essentially there is a copyright license available to us that would be able to, we would be able to use a templated copyright process through Lulu. And as a collaboration, I don't see that that would be any different, but we'll definitely put that question in our pocket, look into that, and then we'll have more answers on that next week when we come together to brainstorm.
Oh, right, it's the collaboration for the copyright kind of thing. Yeah, I'm sure that is something that we will absolutely talk about next week. Right, as we round this off, I want to genuinely thank April for sharing experiences and everyone else who's contributed to the conversation. Again, I will, it's an open invitation next week. It really is an open invitation. Bear with me just a second. Because I just wanted to say something. Here we go. And I have written this down. When is next week's call? Same time, same place. So 6:30 on a Wednesday. It's the same Zoom link, but I'll be sending out another reminder email through Osmic.
And Sass, while you're looking, I wanted to also just say that Alex, could you put your contact information in the chat in case there's anybody that needs a little extra help with getting through the self-publishing process, or with your website, or with connecting e-commerce to what it is you're doing with your ministry? Alex is available to have a conversation with you about that, and maybe guide you through any hiccups that you've encountered, or possibly work with you. He is available at the moment for freelance work. So if it's something a little bit more of a robust project, you can negotiate that directly with him, and his email address is in the chat.
Lovely. And I will say I can, this is really cheeky of me. I can help when it comes to any social media or Canva. If you're not sure with Canva, I'm your person. Well, I'm one of the people you could come to. Okay, so I did, sorry that my connection is poor. Oh, thank you, Maureen. I do want to say, anyone on YouTube, I will post any of the links that have been popped into the chat. I will be posting those, so just do the whole line, check down below. I'm going to assume that I'm going to remember to put it Thank you. I also wanted to mention again, thank you to April, who has donated her time, as Alex has as well. If I invite anyone to possibly consider donating to us. This gets split between April and Osmic to cover running costs. And at the moment, this is the only funding that we receive. So thank you for letting me say that.
Slight correction there. Please just make your donations strictly to Osmic this evening. If you want to assist, if you want to say thank you to me, buy one of my books. Website's in the chat, but please just support Osmic. I think that with your donations, just go strictly to Osmic for that. And if you want to support me and Alex, buy my books. Really, that's all it is.
There you go. And the link to the donation page is in the chat or on YouTube down in the comments, probably. I don't know. It'll be somewhere. You'll be able to find it. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for giving us your time this evening. much appreciation. And I hope you have a lovely evening, and I hope to see you next week. Bye.
God bless everybody. See you next week. Thank you. Thanks,
God
guys.
bless.
Good to see
Good
you.
to see you, Car and Karen. Good to see you too.